Well, hello traders and investors. I'm LA Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Today, look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective. That means each night we ask ourselves what happened today. What does it tell us about the coming ones? We do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube under the channel LA Little. If you haven't subscribed, you want to, just reach up in the right-hand corner and do so. Anytime I push content, you'll get a notification. As far as what happened, let's look at the numbers. It was a good day. We had, last night I think I ended the show saying we had the best chance, or the bears had the best chance of trying to push this market lower. Well, they failed. They failed in a big way. This market did not go lower. They did try this morning to break it down one more time, didn't do it. But you can see here, big gains across the board. 1.25 on the Russell, 1.5 on the NDX. This is all about Apple, folks. Apple just keeps pushing. Ever since it made that little push back down off the announcement of the iPhone 7, it's just gone back the other way, and it's been skyrocketing ever since. Thing closed another 3+% higher today. It's powering the NASDAQ because it's such a big component of it. Yesterday, the whole market wanted to go down. Apple held it up. And today it continued to add to it. NASDAQ Composite up 1.5%. You got a 1% gain on the S&P. Overseas, you got gains last night in Hong Kong. Again, it was the only one that stayed up last night. You got Nikkei up a little bit tonight. The DAX, CAX, this one's hurting. The DAX is looking a little bit better. They both were underwater most of the day, came out right at the end of the day. And the Swiss market the same. Dollar down slightly. Gold and silver mixed on the downside for gold. Oil got a little bump up today, and the bonds, they actually tried to break these down further today. They did end down, but not as bad as it was to start the day. That was what was putting the pressure on the first thing this morning. Once that began to lift and it held, and it actually, we'll look at that. As a matter of fact, let's just look at that now. Once it held on a little over doji, right? So you got under that big bar, back over it, and this morning it was trying to break it down. Got back over it though and held it. That was all the way back from the Brexit move. Gets under it, doji, back over it. This thing's going to try to bounce still. We've got about a week before the Fed and the BOJ. It looks to me like this is probably not able to break down further at this point. If you pull the weekly over, right, it's coming into these big bars. You actually came into the swing point high today, 132.99. Just missed it. Got the 133.03. You're already into the big one. Now you're deeper in there than you like to see after more than 6 bars across, right? So if we pull this up, let's see. Let's grab the little bar box here. Right? What you'd like to see is it come in about a third at most. That's about there. As it comes into that, you want it to get back and start to try to regenerate to the top side, right? Come back up here. And in this case, it would come back to that little red ledge you see there. That is the resistance zone on the way back up. But what you want to see is you want to see this buy some time, if nothing else, until next week. If it does, then we could see these indexes try to work higher. Let's go to those indexes and take a look at them and see what happened today. We'll start here with what we usually do, which is the general market, the S&P 500. That's kind of the main one. So let's start with it and see what we got. So still an inside day, right? So even though you've got some good stuff happening elsewhere, which we're going to see shortly, this range off these first 2 bars is still in effect. And you go down, you test again this morning a little bit, can't hold it down, right? Kind of juice it back up. Coming back in now to this bearish retest regen zone that you got right into it today. That low is 2147.58. You push into it, you close at 2147.26. So you push into it again, doesn't let it in. So tomorrow, the key is going to be this little zone. Can you get back in and above it? If you can, then right, you're going to go attack that area that I've talked about, which is right up here. That's the key area. You got to get over that to go to new highs on this index. That bar, that's the big bar, that's the volume bar, that's the breakdown bar, that's everything. That's everything wrapped up together, folks. That's your bar. That's the one you want to watch. If you break down, right, it's a different story. If you hold it, which is a bullish retest regen, and it should hold, right, you got to get back over this in order to go get new highs. And so that's kind of the bar we're messing with. And we're doing it on multiple time frames. We're doing it here on the daily time frame. We're also doing it on the weekly time frame. Now the good part is the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ, of course, as I said, the goodness is all wrapped up in Apple. Here's the breakdown bar on it. You can see it's already over it. If you go back and look at the bearish retest regen on this one, it just cleared it tonight. And so you're back over it as well. That's nothing but good on this index. And of course on the NDX it's even stronger because the weighting of the Apple inside the index is huge, right? Pushes right back up. This is going after the 2 swing point highs now. Now I suspect Apple's going to take a little bit of a break given the run that it's had, but this is pretty good news for those who want to be bullish this market. And speaking of Apple, let's stick Apple in here and just see what it looks like. And you can see that run 2 days back, right? You get the sell-off on the news, you come back in. I mean, this is classic neoclassical tells. This is your bar, this is your breakout bar, right? You can see the arrow that turns you from sideways to bullish. Once you do that, that becomes kind of the marker for anybody else that wants to buy on any kind of retrace. Well, what do? They retrace it right into there, and look at the volume. This is your volume here compared to the volume there. As you come out, you test back into it. The sellers disappear, right? That's the 3-day sell down. They disappear here. You reverse it, and it's off to the races. Classical NeoTA analysis. You know, we do this all day long. It is a model that I created, and that has great tells, folks. I mean, you see me talk about it all the time. I'm not always right, but when there's good tells like this, you know, that's a good setup. Now, I didn't personally get into this trade. You don't see everything. I didn't see it. I wasn't watching it, and it took off before I could really get any money involved in the kind of size that I probably would want to if I was going to. Let's look at the last one, Russell. Russell doing the same thing as S&P. Russell's back in the swing point low. The next one that's going to break here, if we're going to get a break, is the Russell. That one's going to get over this high. And so that's your next tell, is do you not regenerate lower off the Russell. That will only leave the S&P and the Dow as needing to get over that. And just like I've talked elsewhere, you know, once you get, you know, you have basically, I only follow the 4, but there's really 5 major indexes on the U.S. markets. And the ones I'm talking about, of course, is if you've got the NASDAQ, the NDX, the Russell, the S&P, and then you've also got the Dow. Now, I don't look at the Dow that much, but of those 5 now, you know, 2 of them have already gotten over the bearish retest regens. One of them, the NDX, is going after swing point highs now. That leaves these other 3. The Russell will be the next one that you want to watch to see if it can get over that bearish retest regen. Once you get a couple of these, you can expect the rest to probably follow. And so at this point, you have to start thinking that this market eventually is going to break to the top side again, not to the downside. Let's flip over. You know, we get some real strength. Now, this Apple, you know, one of the reasons it's such a big thing is that not only does Apple move some of these indexes, in particular the NDX, but also others, but it moves some of these sectors as well. For example, the SOX. The SOX just takes off along with Apple, not to near, you know, the push that Apple's doing, but the SOX is actually pushing right back up. This has been one of the strongest sectors, right, on the way up. You finally come back, and when you come back deep, you want to see the bullish sectors hold. This one did, and this one's trying to push back to the top side. Of course, you need to get back over that, but you've gotten over the breakdown bar. And so again, just like we see on the NASDAQ, the NDX, that one looks pretty positive. Now there's some other areas that need some work, and I didn't get through all these last night, so I'll flip through some of them tonight and just take a quick look at them now that we've got another day up. XLY looks like the S&P really just in the range. Same thing here on the XLV. Got a decent pop today, still in the range. Let's see what the utilities look like. Also in the range, some decent volume coming in today. XLP. And looks like we got the same thing here. So all these so far look the same. Now technology probably is going to look a lot better. And it just pushed right back up towards the highs. Let's see about the industrials. Now the industrials was one of the stronger ones too. Now the industrials actually got, this one's an interesting one because the industrials got below the bearish retest regen. Now what that says is that when you do that, right, the up becomes this way for a range. And it looks like this range is pretty big. It looks like it's about in this area. Actually, it's been extended now. Maybe you kind of have two ranges inside there. So although I'm not bearish on this, I'm not as bullish because of what's happened here. This probably is going to have trouble as it tries to get back over that bar. But more positive than negative. Also still looking like the S&P. Let's see what the financials. They also broke their bearish or bullish retest regen. Looks the same. So all these, these are under overs. They can't take them deeper. So it really still is, from what I can see, the technology that's just driving everything. Inside day on the XLE, nothing there. XLB. Let's see what the basic materials look like. They've been struggling too, and still are. And how about the transports? Transports we saw last night did an under over, and today they got a little juice back to the top side. Now they're coming back into their swing point lows, which are bearish retest regions. And so tomorrow you may see them push back down, or if these break, then that definitely says we got sideways still. Let's go to the other two or three here. Real estate, same thing. Notice that all these today, or a lot of these today, tested in that low bar on no volume, which is a positive short term. Home builders, same thing. And finally biotech. I think these were up pretty good today, and they were. Now biotech actually finally gets over. This is going to try to head back towards the top. 289.09. Yeah, 290. If you're into biotech, you might take and look at your hot stocks there, because this little range right here that was resistance, the overlap of those two bars, they got over it today. If they can stay over it tomorrow, they're going to go back after the highs, and all those stocks in that group should try to move. So that's a place that you could look. Let's see here. Let me quickly look at Europe just to see if there's anything there. I know we didn't have anything much happening in the currencies. We already looked at the bonds. Let's see what Shanghai looks like. And these guys can't get going, although they did have an under-over, a test failure here at this low. But this is not significant stuff. Hong Kong was up again. Let's see if they're coming up with less volume now. Yeah, not too much. They're going to have problems right there in that gap area. So Europe still looks tough. France was the one that broke down yesterday. They do an under over a little less volume, and they hold, looks like under the swing point low. So they're going to be doing bearish retest regions. But Germany had that big bar it got under, and let's see if it got back into it today. 10433, and just shy of it. So tomorrow's going to be a good day to watch Europe. And the question is going to be is, can Europe get some mojo back to the top side, right? Because if they do, I think you're going to see some follow-on buying in the U.S. as a result of it. Let's look at Switzerland right quick, because that's the one that actually has the best tells, and this one held the range. You can see how much stronger this market is compared to the others in Europe. You know, you got this range that's pretty well defined here, and they're holding in this big bar. This is the bar I've been watching, and they're holding in that bar. So I like the way Switzerland is set up and how it's trading. So overall, it was a good day, right? I thought we had the best chance for any kind of breakage to the downside. Buyers just simply inched in after the sellers disappeared and took these markets back to highs on less volume, or back towards the highs end of the day on less volume. Tomorrow we're going to see if Europe comes in kind of strong to start the day. And if they do, I think you'll see another gap up in the U.S. markets. And it's Friday, right? So we might see some more just grind it back up type stuff. If you ask me, and I know I've told subscribers this, I don't know if I said it here. I'll go back to the S&P chart to emphasize it. You know, if I had to make a put your bet down kind of thing, you know, what I would bet is that what you're going to find is you're going to find the S&P hanging up in this area by the time the Fed starts to speak. That way they can pop it, right? Break those swing point highs if the Fed gives them the juice. If not, then it's the range thing still. That's it for tonight, folks. Have yourself a great one. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, take care. I'll see you on Sunday evening. Have a great one. Bye.